we as Christians, I believe, need to be transformed by the renewing of our mind and realize that they are not less than because they're below a poverty line, just because of a simple number.
Welcome to the pod at My Village.
Well, we're going to have fun talking all things My Village Ministries, family preservation, and the church's involvement in this important work.
We are Phil and Mel, and we don't know anything about running a podcast. We do know a little bit about family preservation. Okay, are you ready for your first question? What is, other than this one, your favorite podcast?
What's my favorite podcast?
How often are you listening to podcasts? Decent amount?
To be honest, not that often. I've been on a little bit of a kick with Frank Turek, the spiritual one. He does a lot of apologetic type stuff on campus. And
you like it? Is it daily, weekly?
I don't know.
Do you go back and listen to old ones?
Yeah. Just, do you know Frank? I'm sure. Do you know?
Yeah, I know of him
personally. Did you guys hang out recently?
One time.
Yeah. All right, Frank Turek.
Yeah.
All our listeners will start listening to him.
Probably. I don't know. Yeah, he does some cool apologetic stuff. Anyways, first question for you is, I mean, this is obviously a thing, reincarnation. So when you're reincarnated, what do you hope that you're reincarnated as?
Wow, I've spent many, many hours thinking of this. Wait, what do I hope or who?
What it could be, what or
I
who.
Could be a thing or a person.
Whatever. Yeah, that's the beauty of reincarnation, isn't it, Ben?
Gosh, I don't want to be reincarnated. I'm going to live one life and then be in heaven.
Okay, let's just say that's true, Melody. Just think outside the box.
Okay. I want to be reincarnated as an Olympian.
Gymnast?
Nope.
Ice skater?
I'm trying to think. Do I want to be in a team sport Olympian or a
luge?
Solo? Definitely not luge. Definitely not curling. I'm trying to think what sport I would most want to be. I feel like it would be a track and field event. Yeah. I want to be like a hurdler. That's what Lyra's doing right now. I'll come back as an Olympic hurdler.
The record for 110 hurdles was just broken. Did we talk about that?
Was it?
Yeah, we did.
Some dude from some college ran, think about this, 110 meters, so it's 10 meters, obviously longer than 100, and then you have hurdles. I think it was like 12.54.
No way.
That is freakishly fast.
Yeah, that is not that much slower than the 100 meter.
I can't want to run 20 meters in that.
Have you seen the video of Kevin Hart racing Usain Bolt? And it's on the beach, and he starts but he beats him, but he starts 70 yards, and it's 100 yards, and Kevin only has to run 30 yards, and Usain still almost catches him.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It makes me want to watch it right now.
Yeah, we can show it to our viewers. Yeah. Their leg lengths are wildly
different. Oh goodness, twice probably.
Did you run track and field events or just long distance stuff?
I did 2 years of track.
Did you do the 12, what's the long one, 1600 meter?
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
I did the mile.
You did the mile?
Yeah, 16.
Were you state and nationally ranked?
International.
Wow.
I was not even county ranked.
Oh man, Cameron is gonna do track. Cameron's gonna do cross country this fall.
Oh, is he?
So that'll be my first kid doing cross country. Lyra's on track and field.
Did you push him towards that, or?
I did. We told him he needed to pick a sport.
Oh, okay.
And he's gonna play baseball in the spring, but we asked him to try cross country.
I
think he's gonna be great at it, but he's I start breathing hard when I run. We're
that's running.
Yeah,
let's go running.
We're gonna try it still, buddy. He's got these long legs. He's like a gazelle. But he has to run 50 miles this summer and join the team for a few practices, and then he'll start in August with real training.
This is somewhat random, but I've never met a deviant that was once a cross country runner. Think about it.
I think you might be right.
It's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
So that bodes well for
how the thing will turn out. When you meet deviants, do you call them deviants?
Hey, you deviant.
Hey, nice to meet you, deviant. Do you tell Aaron, I
Yeah.
had 3 deviants today.
Yeah.
I've literally never heard someone use that word so casually. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Do you have an answer of what you'd come back as, reincarnated?
No, we don't have time.
Okay. Okay, here's my question that's, again, I try to tie one into the topic. I've noticed you're not making efforts to do that.
I'm bringing my like B- game.
Okay, if I like live in a very small home, I hate clutter. If I could throw away everything we own, I would. And I regularly.
That goes in what Jeff was wanting to do earlier.
Yeah, that's true. If you could get rid of one item in your house and in your yard today by just pitching it, what would it be?
Our camper.
You just throw it away, you think?
It's just
Are you
big.
trying to sell it?
Yeah, we will sell it.
Yeah.
It's maybe a bad answer.
Is it in good condition?
Yeah, it's livable.
Should we take it at our house for more?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you want to buy it?
Does it
Well,
have
well,
electricity? Like
Yeah.
air conditioning?
Yeah.
Just drop it
We're
off.
going to sell it for $500, so if anyone's looking for a pop-up camper that needs a little bit of work.
Yeah. Okay, so
We could
camper,
bring it here.
what would you get rid of inside?
Inside, we have a couch that we're just riding out till we move. It's like a leg's broken. It's like, it was a white couch, like a cream colored couch that's
Yeah.
no longer cream.
Yeah.
More like tan.
Just Dan is generous.
It makes you realize that every couch you sit on is dirty.
Yeah.
You just can't see it with
Yeah.
like a navy
Sure.
gray couch. So
Don't think too hard about
Yeah.
it. I actually don't care at all.
no, I actually don't
I'd
either.
rather just not know.
Yeah, who cares? I'm with you. I'm totally with
Out
you.
of sight, out of mind is
Yeah.
like a motto of mine.
Yeah, us, yeah.
Some people hate me for it.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah, it's like if you ignore things long enough, they go away.
That's so true. That's what I do.
The wisdom. Speaking of wisdom,
So
here's my
wise.
question for you. It's
Is
actually about wisdom.
Hey.
And what area of your life has most been impacted by the Lord's wisdom?
Maybe living in community. Like,
How to do it well?
yeah, or just choosing it as
Oh.
as a step of obedience,
priority and-
regardless.
yeah.
Yeah, as a priority,
Yeah.
regardless of season of life.
That's good.
I think we were one of the first families to have kids in our community, and did not see that in any way to be like a reason not to be around community. Like we were at small groups on weeknights, the only ones with the baby there, like with the baby in the carrier. And then and I just didn't even think of it. I didn't think of not doing that because that had been how I was raised. But I also felt like it was a clear biblical principle that
Yeah.
we should not neglect meeting together.
Yep.
And when other people started having kids and maybe choosing not to be in the community as much, it was like a totally novel idea to me that you would choose not to.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that that was my experience because it blessed our family a lot then to be inside. Tom even spoke about this at church on Sunday.
Yeah.
The blessing of remaining in community that you don't even know you need until you need
Yeah.
it. And then if it's not there, if you've never poured into it, it's
Yeah.
so hard.
It's easy to take for granted.
But yeah, I think that the Lord's wisdom on that topic has informed a lot of our decisions over the years as we've had a big, complicated, messy life that we're still going to be in community. Not that we do it perfectly. We're definitely not like 52 weeks out of 52 weeks at church.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
have faith.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah. Jeez. All the pastors talk about it.
Speaking of choosing community,
You're like, that's actually what I put at the bottom of your list.
no, you live pretty far away, family.
We live far away, but yeah.
Oh, you
I
do a
also,
great job.
I
You
think
do
there's a
great
lot
job
of grace
choosing
in like the seasonality of
Oh, yeah.
you know, we just happen to be sick 3 weeks in a row or
Yeah.
sick 2 weeks and then traveling 2 weeks, and so we barely remember what our church looks like.
Yeah. No.
But to like continually
Yeah, you do a
titrate
great
back
job.
to that
Yeah.
being a steady nucleus in your life.
Marshall's a strong bet.
Yeah.
Well,
Great. You ready to talk about poverty? Did we both ask both our
I
questions?
think so.
Okay, so when I first joined staff, I remember sitting in the back of a training with you, and I was going to do some small part of training. I don't know if you were like having me go up with you for trauma or what it was. I didn't really know how to train yet. It was the first training that I had been at as a staff member, and we were sitting in the back listening to Lori teach on poverty and just talking about poverty and poverty mindsets and and you were just saying like, I feel like there's something missing here still. and trying to figure out this idea of how do we prepare ourselves and our churches well to walk alongside those in poverty, acknowledging some of what will be hard about it without being undignifying in the way that we're talking about those who are living in material poverty. And it was a revolutionary thought for me. I wasn't thinking along those lines yet. I was just sitting and listening to my first training. But I think that you have always had a really good lens on what are we training, how are we training in it, are we equipping the church well? And you constantly have us kind of debrief our training time and see what we can grow in. And so it has evolved a lot over the years. And so I appreciate the way that you think about it. But this idea of there are some really real realities about those who are living in poverty, material poverty. And there are some real things that we can learn from them, some real positives, has just been really intriguing to me over the years as I've watched the training take place and I've walked alongside different relationships. And I thought it would be a fun topic for us to linger on some today. And I want to start by reading this verse. I read this in Proverbs.
Do you have a physical Bible?
Nope. My phone is adequate. I'm in the world, but not of the world. So I was reading Proverbs chapter 30 the other day, and it says, give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God. And just thinking about this interesting idea of one of the wisest men that ever existed saying, give me neither poverty nor riches. And kind of the possible pitfalls of either. And so we're not just going to talk about common poverty mindsets, but we're also going to talk about some wealth mindsets that could be destructive to us as well, or wealth patterns that we can get into. Are you checking your Bible to see if I read the verse right?
Oh, I'm just trying to intimidate you.
Yeah. Just shaking my boots.
I'm just here looking at just shaking my head.
Her phone has that verse totally different.
So it happens when you read out your phone. No, it's a really good verse. It's so good. It is. It's good.
Yeah. And I feel firmly in that place if I have neither wealth nor poverty right now in my life. So praise the Lord for that. But I think you and I have walked alongside people who are wealthy and are living an extremely healthy version of that as well. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with some common wealth mindsets before we go into poverty mindsets. So and we're going to start with the cons and then move into the pros. What are some wealth mindsets that you see in the world around you that could be negative in the kingdom? So you can see them. And I have some prepared if you don't. If they're not rolling off your tongue easily.
No, two of the biggest ones is obviously this can creep in no matter what, but there can be a level of pride that can oftentimes be attached or associated with wealth, thinking you earned it, and to some degree you probably did, but there can be an arrogance that's attached to that. And then the other one is just an overemphasis on independency, you could just. If something goes wrong or if you need something, you're dependent upon just yourself and your finances.
Yeah.
And there can be there's, I don't know if this is a well-known quote, but when things go wrong, you pay for it, you don't pray for it. And so,
I have not heard that quote.
Yeah.
Did you just make
I
it up
made it up right now. I think that's been said before, but
yeah,
it's just a great temptation to just rely upon your financial means as opposed to the one who provided you with those means.
Yeah. And it's so easy to insulate yourself from not actually relying on the Lord, but also from anybody knowing that you need anything. You can present a front to the world that you need nothing from anybody. And there is some danger and lack of relationship in that. And we talk about this idea of being socially poor, if not socially bankrupt. And actually some of the very wealthy are socially poor, if not socially bankrupt.
Correct.
But nobody can see it.
Yeah.
And I think we have, several friends in our life that have done a great job really reminding us of some of the need in communities of great wealth. they have that same need for the gospel that other ones do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there is an independence and a lack of communal living that can happen with a wealth mindset.
Yeah. Is there anything else that comes to mind with that?
Those were the big ones that I wanted to hit on, was this idea of self-reliance, which I think is tied to pride, and then also loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could potentially, and obviously speaking really generally, have too great of a reliance on this quote unquote system, like the system of government or success around you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's working for me, so it works.
Yep.
Instead of thinking critically about, does this system work for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is one that maybe a poverty mindset is the opposite, where we're going to distrust all systems, because none of them work for me.
Yeah.
So you're not quick to trust anybody or anything.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah. A proverb that came to mind when you were talking that I actually, there's probably research that's been done on this that maybe proves or validates what I'm saying. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I actually think that those that have more financial means, maybe struggle with satisfaction a little bit more.
Mm.
Like there's a proverb that says, death and destruction are never satisfied, neither are human eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have some success financially and you begin to obtain some worldly things, you can purchase those and buy those. Like it may satiate for a little while, but I think it can feed something inside of you that if it's not checked well, you just always want more.
Yeah, which is like Solomon writing that everything is meaningless.
Correct.
Like he got everything and found it to be meaningless.
Yeah. Like our eye, like we are just covetous by nature, and if you have the ability to feed that covetousness,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a temptation to just continue to go after it until hoping that you'll be satisfied by materialism, by what the world has to offer.
Yeah.
So death and destruction are never satisfied.
Yeah.
Either
No,
way,
that's really good.
so.
What about some of the pros of, or maybe not pros, but actually stories of people that we've seen live out wealth really well?
Like, do we give personal names?
You can if you want, or you can just tell a story.
No, I mean, what is unique about, there's been a redemptive work here because short story, I did not grow up in a family of means.
Sure.
And my dad was extreme. I give him a lot of props. Single income, worked his tail off to provide for the family, and was frugal and smart with the money. And we were able to have a lot of what we had because of that. Not that it was a lot, but I would say we were bordering on the poverty line, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
All that to say, that was like my background growing up. And then I was a caddy for a couple of years, worked at a golf course for a handful of years, very
A lot of the poor
part of country
gathered
clubs.
there.
Yeah, part of country clubs. And man, I just felt like time and time again, I just ran into people that had wealth that were just always jerks.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord's done a redemptive work in me as I've done some fundraising over many years now.
Mm-hmm.
And just one of the things we're privy to is that, and I really mean this, is that we get to experience people of means that are very generous and are kingdom minds, that have a kingdom mindset,
Mm-hmm.
that really one of their key goals as a follower of Jesus Christ is to make as big of an income as they can by making money and giving as much of it as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Within reason, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm very, very generous. Not just from like a number standpoint, but a percentage standpoint, meaning they make X amount of dollars and a percentage of what they make goes, I mean, it's a high percentage.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's super cool is not just personally, but actually leading out in the community in this way. Like, I'm going to give and I'm going to exhort others to give and be very generous. And I think it has spurred on a very cool movement of unity here in the city of people working together in this way.
I think it is unique. What did you say?
I mean, maybe we haven't been enough places to know, but I've traveled enough to other cities in the nonprofit world where they're telling you what's going on in their city that
And
I
we've
think
heard it,
is-
I feel like enough. Even Jeff Ford mentioned it recently when he came up to the,
came up from
anyways,
Florida.
yeah.
He's doing national work, so I think so. And then I think this is very cool as it ties into how we talk a lot about materially poor versus relationally poor, is that I actually think my Village Ministries has been most blessed by those who are not shuffling funds but relationship. Like, I am gonna steward my relational equity in this city for the sake of this ministry and work that the Lord is doing. So, Joe Huber and Patrick Wathen are a great example of this. We are not just going to give you a donation. They are very generous of my village. But Huber Equity Group and Equity Incorporated, they steward the relational equity they have in the city to invite others to give. And that's
Very generous in that way.
Yeah, and it's like this compounding math that has spurred on our ministry in a huge way when we're still kind of learning how to have a good donor strategy. They had figured it out and went ahead and served us in that way. So just real humble, generous guys that we've been very blessed to walk alongside. So
amen to that.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
It is challenging.
Yeah, and encouraging at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna transition us. I feel like we could talk here for a while. There is. I want to mention a few of these wealth mindsets that are positive, just because I think they'll pair well with the poverty ones. But there is a view of the long game that I think is really healthy. Like and I get challenged by this sometimes when I am talking to some of our donors. We don't want a simple solution that's a Band-Aid to the problems in our city. We want an organization that's thinking about the long game, because that's how we live our lives. We're building our jobs and our home finances around this idea of stewarding well and multiplying. And there's like so many Proverbs principles. My brother's a great example of this. He's never had some massive expensive job, but man, he has been investing and stewarding money well ever since he started earning money as a young man.
Yeah.
And so his family can weather hardships and be extremely generous in a way that most people need a lot higher salary to do. That's like Dave Ramsey Principles 101.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to be a millionaire,
Correct.
or you don't have to make $1 million a year to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And actually some of the vocations that are most likely to be millionaires are teachers and nurses. It's like you have like
Are you making this up?
no.
Business, according to him. I believe
Dave
it.
Ramsey.
Oh, really? Okay.
He wrote a book called Everyday Millionaires or
Okay.
something like that.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
this is first generational wealth, so
Yeah.
it's first generational millionaires.
Yeah.
So some of the most likely people to become millionaires, not like have that passed down through their family. But it's because they have assigned savings, because they're like either union jobs and they're a likely job to do your whole career in. So I've been a teacher for 35 years, and every year I was investing in a matched
Correct.
401k.
Yeah. Took advantage of the opportunities out there. Yeah.
So it has to do more with like the faithfulness and consistency of saving
Over the long haul.
over the long haul. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk about some common poverty mindsets. And I always give this precursor when I'm teaching this piece of training now. That the goal of this, and I mentioned this a little before, is 100% not to be looking down on these as mindsets. They are learned oftentimes, and really the most important thing is we don't want to assume that they are true about somebody. We're not going to just say like, and every person I know in poverty is just living for the short game. So we're not going to assume them, but it does help us to be prepared to fight for compassion, to be aware that somebody might interact with us or with money or with a relationship in a different way than what our lived experience is. Just like what you just said, you and I maybe have a different answer for that question than a lot of people because of what our backgrounds were.
Yeah, I think a decent analogy is we have the same mindset with trauma, and like not all of our families have experienced a lot of trauma, but I think it's good to be aware so that we can be ready to love and be intentional in some effective ways.
Yeah. So in Proverbs 30, they're like, his example for why he doesn't want to have too much is he doesn't want to disown the Lord, which did tie well into we don't want to be self-reliant. As one of the main wealth mindsets that was negative. But for poor, he says, I don't want to become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of the Lord. I don't think we're going to talk about stealing as a common poverty mindset.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about how that lack has then colored how we relate to the world and to others.
Yeah.
So what are some common poverty mindsets that you've experienced?
Yeah, I do think one of the bigger ones you can oftentimes see is there's a short game.
Yeah.
And there's research that was even done where I'm going to mess this up, but essentially they ask questions of people how far do you think ahead in life?
Mm-hmm.
And it went all the way down. I think they were actually asked questions of like poor kids living in the dumps in India, where they would think 7 seconds ahead, because they're all about survival. And so when you're all about survival, just thinking from a short time perspective, it is challenging to make financial decisions that are wise, that invest in the long haul, and provide some level of security and stability, especially if and when that crisis hits.
Yeah.
The car breaks down, you can actually pay for it, things like that.
Yeah.
So there can be oftentimes a mindset that does not think long term, that does hurt them to some degree, because there's been poor financial stewardship and decisions wrapped around that. So that's been one that's been at times pretty frustrating for me.
Yeah. And I think
And I don't love that I'm frustrated by it, but
Sure.
it's just being real.
Yeah. Well, and if you understand what's behind it, like some of what you were just unpacking, it's a lot easier to be compassionate for.
Yes.
If you don't, it's really easy to get super frustrated by it.
Yep.
And I have this kiddo staying in my house. I'm investing in the long game of your family being healthy and stable at my own sacrifice.
Yep.
And what I'm witnessing you do is spend your paycheck in a way that I deem
Correct.
unwise, because I'm thinking about the long game.
Correct.
That can be I would say that's a common example in our ministry of a breeding ground for frustration and a loss of compassion.
Yeah.
But if we come back to understanding what's behind it, that your whole life, and maybe generationally in the life of your parents and grandparents, there has been this need to just survive for the next 7 minutes, or whatever their length is. It's not like everybody we're serving is living in a slum in India. This idea that, man, I just have to get through this week. Or we hear a lot of, I'm getting paid on Friday. Can you just host my kid till Friday? And then in my mind, all the problems will be solved. And I think we have to keep coming back to a place of compassion and awareness that could be the mindset.
Yeah, it's really well said. And to understand that we don't know their full story, and you kind of alluded to this, they could have grown up. I mean, I experienced this. I heard this from people that I've worked alongside, where I would ask, they grew up in generational poverty and generational wealth, kind of living off of welfare too, where they never have seen their single mom work a day in their life. And you ask them, what would you want to do? They don't. And you dig deep, it's like, well, I've never experienced like my parents working.
Yeah.
And that's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's what they experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that can be hard to get past that mindset and understanding if you really haven't been exposed and taught something else new or different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think I would challenge people to really think through what you assume to be common knowledge that is not common knowledge to somebody who did not live your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is common knowledge to you and I that our parents go to work. If it's not common knowledge to somebody, they're looking at life through a totally different lens than we are. And how can that understanding and compassion help us to truly come alongside them and recognizing commonalities and the need for a savior in a different way than assuming that they have the same understanding as us? Because we can be so quick to frustration if we're like, well, it's obvious, like, go to work 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
If I have zero understanding for the fact that you have no example of that in your life, it's going to be hard for me to come alongside you, truly.
Mm-hmm.
I think another one that we can experience is this learned helplessness or hopelessness. Like, it doesn't, you can sit in front of me all day and tell me that if I work 40 hours a week, it's going to fix things, but I have zero experience of that. I've learned to rely on this system. It's working for me. Why would I change anything about that?
Yes. Yep.
I think it's good to be.
And Well, I think what can cause a little bit of frustration within that is it's to us we don't have to think about it. It's just kind of what we know. But it is it sounds crazy, but that could be a very foreign thing to them. And so even if they start to do that, they may not know how to handle the finances that come in. It'd be like someone to tell me trying to tell me this is what it takes to code. Well, I don't know how to code.
Yeah.
That's foreign language to me. I've never known it. I can't experience it. No one's taught me how to do it. Where do I even begin? So someone could even get that 40-hour a week job, but then are they then also then stewarding that well and saving well? I mean, that's if they've never been taught or shown that. How do you expect them to handle those finances coming in well? Yeah, it's probably unrealistic. Yeah. And there's a long game to that too.
Yeah. Another common one we see that I am thinking of also the wealth mindset for is this concept of time and timing and being on time. And I think oftentimes as we work with people in chronic or generational poverty, they can be late for appointments or meetings or not aware of gosh, you got to pay this bill by this time. But one thing I think is interesting to contrast the wealth mindset is we can be almost so overly concerned about time that we are never able to be present in the moment then and relax and sit on a porch and not be worried about if our kids are in bed exactly at the right, valuing this slower cadence and presence in time to, I think we can, and which goes with the Proverbs 30 verse of not, don't give me wealth and poverty, but we can go so far into one or the other where time becomes this idol of being perfectly at every place right on time. I'm so professional, or I've totally lost the sauce with whether or not I'm on time for anything or I pay a bill on time. I think it can go to one extreme or the other.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, having zero flexibility with the rigidity of your schedule.
Yeah, rigidity is a good word.
Is probably just as bad as not being aware at all.
Yeah.
Timeliness.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the positive stories or either personally stories that you've witnessed or mindsets, things about people who are materially?
Yeah, and some of this is anecdotal, and it's not, I don't want to brush something too much with a wide brush, but I have had a lot of experience with those that are pretty generous, not just with what they do have, the little that they do have, but also with their time. Yeah. One guy in my neighborhood that I built a relationship with, which he's now moved to a different city, but I still somewhat stay in contact with, and it's really cool to see his life transformation. But did not have a lot and had a lot of those mindsets that we talked about. But if you asked him for help for anything, he would do it. Yeah. And if he had $20 and that's what you needed, he'd give it to you. Yeah. And I have a lot of experience. I have enough experiences with those where it seems to be a common theme, where there can be a generosity, a pretty extreme generosity with finances and time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And then when you think about their circumstances, it's even more significant because seemingly they have a little bit less to give.
Yeah, the margin is very low. Yeah. You almost want to scream sometimes the airplane, put your own oxygen mask on first. You need that $20. Don't give it to somebody else. Right. But there's something that is just so humble and generous in it. It's gosh, I have this $20 in my hand. I'll worry about dinner later. Here you go. And we've seen it many, many times. Yeah. People sharing their food stamps literally with the person behind them in line who doesn't have food stamps. Yeah. Or a mom sending money back to Haiti where people are truly dying of starvation instead of getting
food for her own kids.
Yeah, or fixing her car that really needs fixed so she can get to daycare that weekend. Yeah. So we've seen it, and it's grieved us sometimes, and also just really impressed us, the heart of the Father in that moment.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, and I've seen this a lot, probably more so overseas than in the States, but those that are poor in the eyes of the world are rich in faith. There can be a really rich faith.
Yeah.
And a belief,
Mm-hmm.
just a strong gift of faith.
Yeah.
For those that may have less financially, and I've always been challenged by that. And again, there is just a greater level of dependency on God providing their daily bread, literally
Yes.
their daily bread.
Yeah.
And when you see God show up time and time again, that obviously builds your faith.
Yeah.
So
I think there's also can be a different way that families interact that can sometimes expect a lot of kids in a healthy way as they move into older years. Like a responsibility of the household that's shared with children too.
Yeah.
That we have lost a little bit, I think, in our current generation, where we shelter our kids so much, even in college. Like I've heard stories of professors saying, moms are calling me about their college students saying, can you just forgive this paper that they turned in late?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're overly sheltering our kids sometimes in this generation. But one story that I will never forget is it was when my oldest son had just gotten his first job in high school. So he was like 14 and a half, maybe 15, working at Kroger, bagging groceries. And we were driving to mentorship with a few kids that we've been in a relationship now with for a few years. And they weren't old enough to have jobs yet, but they were getting close. They were like maybe 12 or 13. So they're talking about Caspian's first paycheck and how exciting that is that he has his own money now. And I asked them, what would you do when you first get a job? What do you think you want to do with your paycheck? And without missing a beat, they were like, oh, well, we would share it with our mom. Like, oh, we would help our mom with some of the household bills. And it was Caspian was shocked. He was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, he could not imagine sharing his paycheck with his mom or with any of the household bills. But for them, it was like that. They were not sad about that at all. That was not a sacrifice. It was like, oh, we would be so thrilled to be able to contribute to our home in this way. And there's some hardship behind that for sure. But there's also is like that families did used to live that way where you contributed to one another in a different way than we do now. And there was a selflessness to, oh man, that'd be so great if we could help our mom out in that way. She's a single mom. We can see her struggling. And man, I wish that they had a dad that was in there supporting them instead. But there still was this sweet desire to help support their whole family and not just be thinking individualistically, I got this paycheck, I'm gonna buy this.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that has always really impressed me too. Ways that families kind of like work and live together in different cases.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's for real.
Yeah. Well, through this lens, we are often working with both worlds, Phil. We have volunteers in churches that we're working with.
Which can feel whiplash.
It can. We have volunteers in churches we're working with that I bet a lot of them are above that wealth line that you mentioned. Like they're making more than $100,000 a year.
So much, man.
And almost every family that we serve is below the poverty line or somewhere, receiving some type of support like that. And I was really thinking about the Lord's heart for his kingdom and how those two communities influence one another. I feel like my family has been tremendously influenced by those relationships that we've had with people that are below the poverty line. And even as we talk about some of these positive things that we can learn from those who are living materially poor, I was like, man, so what is the real pain point that we as the church get the opportunity to address? And there's this verse in Proverbs 31, which I grew up in a Christian family, so you hear Proverbs 31 and you think, the wife of noble character. So I'm just trying to live up to that every day.
You don't want to be the nagging wife, corner of the roof type situation.
I sure don't crust the bread. Walk out into the desert and die. That's the worst. just go into the desert and die. Anyways, right before they get into the wife of noble character in Proverbs 31, it says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute, which I was looking at destitute today, and it's like so impoverished that you have literally no choices. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And I think a lot of what we see in the materially poor around us, which I know we're talking about relationship being really important, but to specifically address materially poor, is that there's a predatory nature of the world They are often taken advantage of and preyed upon by those who have wealth. And here's where I think the church can be really different, is how are we going to speak up for those? How is our experience of not being poor going to allow us to be people who defend the rights of the poor and the needy? And I think that is what the Lord's heart is in this situation. And a lot of our training is aimed at this, and maybe we can talk about it for a little bit here, is, okay, this is the situation we're in. We've got wealth mindsets, we've got poverty mindsets. How is this bridge of us being believers who are going to walk in the way of Jesus going to make those two worlds collide in a way that produces good fruit? Not judgment savior, not this toxic charity idea of creating codependency or reliance on somebody else to meet all of their needs, but actually looking at how are we going to speak up for those who are living materially poor. And I think our model does that really well. We're inviting, through biblical hospitality, inviting children into our homes, walking alongside parents. I think there's a lot there already in the model, but what advice would you give to somebody who's like, I'm stuck here, they feel stuck to me here? What are the practicals of how to marry those two things so that we are doing what Proverbs 31 says? We're speaking up for those who cannot speak for themselves, and we are defending the rights of the poor and the needy. Yeah,
that's a really good question. I may turn it back on you, but let me start here. I would start here is to take time, to be honest with yourself, like a Psalm 39 prayer, like, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me, know my anxious ways, and see if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Is how have you allowed the world's definition of those that are poor impact how you view those that are in poverty? Mm-hmm. We as Christians, I believe, need to be transformed by the renewing of our mind and realize that they are not less than because they're below a poverty line, just because of a simple number. They're not less than. And I think the world, because there can be such an emphasis on that and those that are in poverty, and that they're seen as less than, they're viewed as less than for whatever reason. And I think it's just important for us to first take inventory on how it is we view people that are materially poor, and how has the world impacted our lens towards them, and to be honest with ourselves there first and foremost, and to come to the Lord in prayer and asking for Him to reveal those things, and for Him to reveal, if you are viewing them less than, what does repentance look like? True repentance, to turn away from that, turn towards God, and start to honor and dignify the people. So that's where I would first begin. I'm going to turn it back to you and maybe have you share some stuff, and then I can share some stuff, but I would definitely begin there.
Yeah, I love that, like, beginning in that point of having a soft heart and a posture of humility as you're stepping into this relationship.
Let me just say this. It's hard to advocate for something that you think is less than. And that's why it's important. They're on the same playing field. We're all made in the image of God. And we need to get to the point where we don't see them as less than or more than. We're all there. And so, again, it's hard to advocate for something you really don't value or you see as less than. So that's why I say start there. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love the verse in Ezekiel that says God can take a heart of stone and turn it into a heart of flesh. And so often as I'm talking about this with new volunteers, it is go first to the Lord and ask Him to give you a heart of flesh about this. A soft heart that is not prideful, and acknowledge that we talked about this earlier, that what you're bringing to the table is the bread of life, not bread. Like, that is the best thing that you can bring to the table. I love how Chalmers Center says, there's a video of Brian Fickert saying, I'm starving too, but I found the bread of life. So, like, acknowledge your own starving in this, and you found the bread of life. So I think we need to look really different than how the world engages with those in poverty, if we're believers engaging in poverty. We need to look like this upside down kingdom that is coming alongside with a heart to learn and to be impacted also, and recognize our own sin patterns that also need a savior. But the way the world is interacting with poverty is either we want to fix it with some kind of like handout, or we want to prey on it, which is what I was sharing from the verse in Proverbs. Is there's this predatory nature of like payday loans and and car dealerships that are selling lemons, and they're not selling them to millionaires, they're selling them to people who are using their last dollars.
A little bit desperate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a rehabilitation center in town where people are overcoming some kind of physical hardship and oftentimes about to receive a disability check, start getting a disability check from the government. And there was a guy who worked there and was dating the women who were in there in order to then share the disability paycheck. And so there's this the enemy seeking out the weak member of the herd to pluck off, and that the world can fall into. And how can the church look drastically different from that?
Those people need spiritually punched.
They do.
Maybe
Have
physically.
you done that in your mind and heart right now?
No, that is a really good tangible example. I think some other tangible examples within the ministry that have been done many of times, and we hope and pray continues to take place. We can advocate for that parent at the Title 20 office, with a principal at a school.
Yeah.
That's maybe feels hesitant to have a kid go there because of whatever it may be, or to that possible employee or that potential landlord. There's an opportunity for us to advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they necessarily need that voice, but that voice matters.
Yeah.
And in the least, if something doesn't pan out, they see you fighting for them and advocating for them. And so there's very practical things we can do like that. And I'm sure there's some systemic changes that need to take place.
Sure.
that can feel almost impossible to move the needle in.
Mm-hmm.
But in a one-on-one relationships, day in, day out, there's a level of advocacy that we can do alongside of them.
Mm-hmm.
And not to do everything for them, but to advocate alongside of them and help them in some of those processes that could be holding them back from experiencing a step up, in life. So
Yeah, I like how Eugene said when he was here the other day that in the story of the Good Samaritan, he didn't just help the guy and give him a meal and take off. He set him up in a community to continue to find sustainability himself. And I really like the passage in Galatians 6 that says we should carry one another's burdens, but then it goes on to say that each one should carry their own load.
Correct.
And so as believers coming alongside somebody, our goal should be walking with them in a way that leads towards their own ability to carry their own load. And so take the example of a car repair place that we're seeing be predatory in nature towards the vulnerable. So they're overcharging, or they're selling a car that is a lemon and making you get this loan that will just run the loan through us, and it's got this massive interest rate, and you're 5 years into the loan and you still haven't even paid the interest off, let alone any of the main balance. And a sustainable way to approach that with a family is a family that's willing to work towards a down payment on a car and finds a trusted person from inside the church that's willing to help repair the car. And not just, here, I'm going to buy you a car, or here, I'm going to give you $3,000 to go get this car repair that you need done, but to actually walk alongside, introducing some of the long game mindsets that you've been blessed to have in your life. How can I partner those with the good things that you bring in from your lens and help you get to a more sustainable place where you can carry your own load? And I think that, we've seen this happen over the years, but there's no black and white answers in scripture about that. There's nothing that says if somebody needs this much money and they've been in poverty this long, they should do this. And so the Lord wants us to seek his wisdom. He wants us to learn from one another. He wants us to ask him and walk in relationship with him as we figure out these tricky things. But I think it's one of the things we hope that My Village Ministries can offer to the church is, okay, we're 703 kids in. We're learning some things through reps of serving families that will help us to serve them in a way that is sustainable. It's not enabling, but in fact it's empowering. It's gospel-centered and dignifying. And so when the church is bumping into those situations 3 years after hosting for a family, we want to be able to come alongside them and offer advice from the reps that we have of doing it in this way.
Yeah. It reminds me of Bob Lupton's, what you're talking about, kind of the flow that leads to dependency, which I'll highlight here real soon. But as a disclaimer or a preamble to that, I would encourage any person, and I'm saying this to myself too, like if you're going to err on the side of generosity.
Yeah.
Just be foolishly generous.
Yeah.
But there can be some, there needs to be a check with that. And I think Bob Lupton, in his book Toxic Charity, talks about the flow of what happens when you leave it to just giving and not. So you leave it to giving, which can lead to enablement and not empowerment. And so he says, when you give once, there's appreciation. When you give twice, there's an anticipation. 3 times, an expectation. 4 times, entitlement. And after the 5th time, there's a dependency. And now they're dependent on you. They see you as God, and you're never meant to be that to anyone. And so that's the danger of just leaving it at foolish generosity.
Yeah.
Be foolishly generous, but what's the long game? What's the plan of discipling, empowerment, equipping, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, again, it can be a tough needle to thread, but.
I also think you can course correct in the middle of that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's easy to hear that and think, oh gosh, I can never give once because I'm going to end up at dependency. But like I've been able to offer, let me go pick up some groceries and diapers for you today to a mom that we are serving, which we don't always do, and maybe wasn't even the right thing to do in the moment.
Correct.
But I didn't have any like pain in my conscience when I did it, but then to notice if you're on that track where like, okay, now every time I go over, she's asked me to pick her up groceries. Our relationship is no longer this dual giving relationship. She's counting on me to buy her groceries, and how do I course correct that? And I think it's important to know that you can, that you aren't like stuck and you gave, and you don't need to be fearful of giving once because maybe I'll end up stuck. No, we can absolutely, in the grace of the Lord, move back towards a genuine relationship that is empowering, and not be afraid that if we give, we're going to get stuck. Yeah,
I've told this story before. You've heard it. I've shared it at some of the trainings where I've had to have those hard conversations. And one guy I was talking about earlier that was just foolishly generous with his time and money. Also, I erred on the side of probably giving too much whenever he asked. And at one point then I had to have a conversation with him where it was hard, but I had to tell him, like, I'm done being your taxi driver, your free taxi driver. I'm done being your free ATM, your grocery store. Like, what I want more than anything is relationship. And by God's grace, he heard that. And ultimately that is what he wanted. But I always erred on the side of just giving foolishly, and it led him no longer seeing me as a person, but as a means to an end. And that's not good for him, and it's not good for me. And I think what I would say is proactively, you'll be able to discern when you can have those conversations sooner than later. And just really setting the expectation with that person you build a relationship with is I want this exactly, a relationship. Like I don't want to feel like I'm in a position where I'm always having to. And you can say this graciously and have a conversation about this, but I don't want to be that free taxi driver. What I want more than anything is a relationship. And
it's just incredibly loving of you. I think more often the church can be tempted to get stuck in that relationship and then peace out.
Because you're ticked off.
You're ticked off. You're burned out. You have compassion fatigue, and so. But instead of having the confrontational conversation that would actually show long-term love and desire to see them. Galatians 6:4 to carry their own load.
Exactly.
Instead, we're just like, well, they didn't do it, so I'm out. Like, man, there's something so loving in being willing to have that hard conversation. And sometimes we've had to say hard no's in this ministry, and had somebody cut off relationship for a while, and sometimes they come back and it still was the right thing, even though it felt so painful in the moment. They came back to relationship, and now that relationship is back on firm ground.
Yeah, because in moments of hurt and loneliness, they ultimately know that $20 isn't going to fix that. What will is relationship. And when that's been communicated well and shown well, they'll come back to it. They've tasted and seen that is good, and you just got to trust and believe that. And hope that the enemy doesn't rob them from being able to see that and come back to it.
And we are not, and nor will we ever be, a poverty alleviation ministry. And yet we recognize that we are equipping the church to walk alongside families that are in poverty most of the time.
Yep.
And so I think there's a lot of wisdom to having a solid understanding biblically and through research, like understanding what is going on for the families that we're serving and how they're feeling and how they're thinking about things, and how can we mobilize the church to be those who defend the case of defend those who are poor. And so, you know, none of these podcasts are aimed at you and I trying to say that we're a poverty alleviation ministry, but instead to say, like, this is the reality of those we serve. A lot of them, we're not going to make assumptions, but we're going to be prepared and equipped for the battleground that we are building into. And so, you know, I pray as we have these conversations and continue to, and we put out this poverty resource to the church, that the church does feel more equipped and confident. Like I said, what if we never give because we're so afraid that we're going to end up on step 5 of the toxic charity quote that you said? No, we want to be confident and free of fear as we step into serving families that are facing material poverty.
Yeah, that is so true. And to harken back to the last podcast, but I do think there is an opportunity for us to be a poverty prevention ministry. Not that that's our sole focus, but I think with some of the stuff we can do with the kids and the mentoring, there's an opportunity to be used by God to help prevent any families living in poverty, future families.
Praise the Lord. That's encouraging and hopeful to think about.
It is helpful. Just a lot, maybe I think we're winding down here, but if someone could figure out how to get rid of these stupid welfare cliffs, that's a systemic change that I'd love to see take place.
Me too.
I have mixed bag feeling of emotions about welfare. Good, there's good and bad and ugly and everything in between with it. Man, the whole welfare cliff that incentivize people not to take the plunge of like going at job full time, getting kind of over this threshold. I think there can be like a transitionary like off ramp in a way that I just can't believe no one's tried to figure out.
Or maybe they haven't. We don't know.
Maybe they have.
I agree.
I haven't seen it.
For those who don't know what you're talking about, there is a spot where you start making X amount, and then you've just lost all your health insurance benefits unless you can buy them out of pocket. You've just lost Title 20, which would help you pay for daycare unless you can pay for it out of pocket. Like you get $100 raise and you lose $5,000 in benefits.
Right.
And so it incentivizes you to stay below, to work 20 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week.
It can't be one of two extremes. It's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? And I just feel like they haven't struck that balance well. I mean, as Christians, we should not want people to live off welfare their entire lives. That is not honoring. Let's keep it real. That's not honoring and dignifying. Now, at the same time, I want there to be societal help in some of those ways. But what is that ramp that helps people to not live dependently on?
You do need to acknowledge this family's starving. Correct. They need food stamps right now.
Absolutely.
Also, though, because I care about them,
Correct.
I'm thinking about how someday they're going to provide for their family and not be starving. And built into the system is, like you said, an off ramp. That's not a cliff.
I think it can and should be figured out. So if anyone can pull some strings out there, that'd be great.
This is
I'd be a voice for you in any way. So that is very discouraging. It feels like an insurmountable obstacle at times.
So I love it. Let's end on this note of we're not a poverty alleviation ministry, but we hopefully, Lord willing, will be a poverty prevention ministry as we continue to grow over the years. And generationally, we see the church serve this next generation of families that we were privileged to meet. So, all right, we solved it. Solved poverty. And tomorrow's the next day.